Welcome to the final special Zelda Month episode of the Switch Clicks podcast. Zelda Month has returned. During the entire month of November, we celebrated the Legend of Zelda series with 5 special podcast episodes featuring interviews from some of the greatest online creators.
Additionally, we have showcased 4 play-by-tier episodes reviewing various Zelda games, including Phantom Hourglass, Link's Awakening, Cadence of Hyrule, and The Minish Cap. We hope you enjoy them, as we had a lot of fun dissecting these Zelda games.
My name is Dakota, and today, again, for one last time, I'm joined by Nathan.
Hello there.
I mean, he'll be here next week, but,
That's
true.
Tonight we are joined by Jess Rappaport, also known as Golden Chaos, the owner of Zelda Universe and the creator of Zelda Wiki.
Hi!
In this episode, we'll be taking a look at what it takes to run a massive online community with a very diverse fan base. So each of these 4 episodes, we've asked our guest at the very end of our interview this question, but we decided because Zelda is basically the point of your creation, pretty much. The question is, what got you into the Zelda series specifically?
Ooh, there were two things that got me into Zelda. The first was when I encountered my very first Zelda game as a little kid, and that was Link's Awakening on the Game Boy. And I got that game. I didn't actually buy it for myself. A kid at the summer camp that I went to had the game and offered me like one of his two Game Boy games. He had either Pokemon Red or Link's Awakening in exchange for letting him listen to my CDs for the day. Like, I didn't even give him anything.
Steal.
He just like, have one of these games, and I already had Pokemon Red, because up until that point in my life, I was a huge Pokemon fan. That was the only thing I did. Yeah, I loved Pokemon. My username, this is deep cut. My username before Golden Chaos was Pokemaniac855313. Oh yeah. That was my and then I started Golden Chaos actually as the name of a little like Sonic fan game making company. That was actually where it was Golden Chow Entertainment. I was making Sonic fan games for a hot sec. But I digress. So I got this guy to give me his copy of Link's Awakening. And that was my first exposure to Zelda. And I never actually could beat it as a kid. I always got stuck at the 4th dungeon. But so this just made it like, in my head, it was just notorious that I could never beat 2D Zeldas. And then eventually, I completely missed Ocarina of Time on the N64. Like, for some reason. I just spent more time playing Crash Bandicoot, so...
Oh, so you kind of just gravitated towards, like, the PlayStation at that point?
Yeah, I really did gravitate more toward the PlayStation during that era of gaming. Like, I had both, but I just had more games for PlayStation, and I think I enjoyed them more. So when I really got into Zelda was with The Wind Waker on GameCube. And that to me was, well, first it was the first Zelda game I could ever actually beat on my own. And that in and of itself just like felt like a huge accomplishment to me because I could never beat Link's Awakening. And I loved it so much that that's how I ended up joining Zelda Universe in the first place, was because all I wanted to do was talk about Wind Waker, and I knew how to join communities online at that point because I had been in the Sonic fan game community. I was never in any Pokemon community, weirdly enough. I guess I was too young at that point. Like, that would be like middle school and younger, so like way too young. But this was like just at the end of middle school, coming into like start of high school, was when I first like joined, or no, I guess it was even a little before that. Like, I was like 14 when I joined Zelda Universe.
Yeah.
So that's how I ended up joining Zelda Universe in the first place, is really because of The Wind Waker. So to me, like, The Wind Waker is like my first Zelda love. I love The Wind Waker so much, even now. It's my true favorite 3D Zelda, even though like Breath of the Wild is amazing. Like, The Wind Waker, that's the one that did it for me.
But I guess the burning question here is, what would you consider to be your favorite Zelda game?
Yeah, I do think it's The Wind Waker. I think like
it's The Wind Waker.
Well, it is The Wind Waker. Like, The Wind Waker is the favorite one in my heart. Breath of the Wild is like the best one.
the
That
best.
it's
I,
the best, but it's
I
not.
know what you mean there.
Like Breath of the Wild does not hit any emotional notes for me whatsoever. Like it's just technically amazing and really
Yeah.
fun to play. But like even Skyward Sword I think did a lot, well, especially Skyward Sword did a much better job than Breath of the Wild in the story and emotions department.
Yes, most definitely there. It's really, really in depth with the story. Yeah, I guess that goes to say that we're kind of at this point where I think we do need to see these games come onto the Switch when you think about how how big the fan base is now.
Yeah, I can't believe. I mean, I can believe
You can
why it's not
believe
on the Switch.
it's not on the
Yeah,
Switch.
because Nintendo knows that the longer they hold out, I mean, they just don't need to release the games yet, I guess. Like they take their time because they know it's gonna continue to keep them like hyped and in the news cycle. And those spikes in sales are not trivial. Those are some significant, like when you're in the news cycle like that, you do sell a lot more. So it's good. It's like it's smart of them from a business standpoint to not to release them in this kind of staggered way, but it's really annoying that Wind Waker and Twilight Princess are not on Switch.
Oh, they're timeless classics. They gotta people really have to play these. And I guess that kind of brings us towards another question. We're gonna skip ahead on our list here, because you kind of like analyze this pattern a bit. What kind of behind the scenes experiences are there with Zelda universe whenever there's like brand new information that's being released?
Uh, there's honestly, I think it might surprise people to know that we don't know much more than most normal people. Like we don't find out about anything like way ahead. And yeah, I feel like the behind the scenes is really more like us just being like excited and then scrambling to report it or whatever. Like, and a lot of what we do is honestly based on as much conjecture and rumors as anyone else. Like we're like Nintendo doesn't give us a call and tell us like,
Mhm.
hey, this is what the Zelda team's working on. Get ready in, a year and a half. Like we're waiting for the trailers. We're watching the same stuff, and we're just a bunch of people behind computers scrambling to report on it. So the behind the scenes looks pretty much like a bunch of people in Slack just trying to coordinate like writing news posts. And Zelda Universe has a pretty cool structure, which
Mhm.
is like just because so many people volunteer on it that it has to be structured into like nice teams where you've got like a news team, a guides team, a media team, a social media team. Um, so that I think is what's like really unique about
Mhm.
Zelda Universe is that it's just like there's just a lot of people that work on it. But I think like the behind the scenes stuff is all pretty like it's like weirdly mundane. Like we don't have like super special anything. It's even like it's been like tough for us to even get review codes in the past. Like or even currently. I don't know actually what our current review code getting status is, but like historically Nintendo has been incredibly like frugal about giving that stuff out.
You're like stingy in that regard.
It's
Like,
basically like lottery.
oh, so you basically just have to get really lucky to get, like in this case right now,
Yeah.
you'd have to be
Like
really lucky
there
to
have
get.
been several times where it has actually been a lottery and we lost. Like we
Oh,
didn't get review copy.
and
So
I'm so it's basically going to be the same case for Tears of the Kingdom.
I have no idea. Like nowadays I don't actually like do the review code and like do the review stuff. I think that actually might be more Joshua
Oh,
who is the head of content. There's a content team,
yeah.
and Joshua heads up all the site content, so he would actually know that, like how the review code stuff happens nowadays. And I think we have it like sorted out now, but I don't get involved in that because then I just always want the review codes for myself.
Yeah.
It would pain me to just distribute them, so I just have someone else distribute them.
For when you do get review codes, how difficult would you say it is for you to maintain the level of confidentiality that Nintendo
Uh,
wants?
incredibly easy.
Very
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah, like, well, I mean, I'm allowed to talk about it with people at Zelda Universe, like within staff. Like,
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
confidentiality is only like to talking about it publicly. And at least for me, that's not it's really not difficult because anything that you'd be talking about would just be spoiling it. You'd be ruining the reputation uh of your news outlet. Like, I don't want to hurt Zelda Universe's reputation by, the downsides are way, way, way worse than the upsides.
Mhm.
And yeah, people who like leak stuff like that and break those embargoes and hurt the development teams and, hurt their publications, like that sucks.
Yeah. I think from both sides of the spectrum, it really definitely
Like it's
sucks.
it's the information just isn't that crazy that it couldn't wait until the embargo deadline.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Um.
one of the best examples of this actually now I can talk about it because this was like a million years ago.
Yeah.
But E3, I guess it must have been E3 2013.
Yeah.
Uh or 2012. I don't know how long before the launch they announced the name of A Link Between Worlds. Um
Oh.
and that was a really fun year at E3 because I had some connections to some of the construction workers on the show floor that year
Mhm.
and got them to sneak me and Cody and Hombre de Mundo, another Zelda Universe staff member or
Yeah.
former Zelda Universe staff member, got them to sneak us onto the show floor as contractors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we got in like a day or two early just to like see the whole thing under construction. And of course we saw Nintendo's booth all like very covered up and it was
Yeah.
very much like, high security whatever. So we hung way way far back away from it and just waited for like the right little bit of moment where the wind blew inside the room the wrong way and one of the curtains just like kind of slightly moved to the side and we may have seen the name of the new Zelda
Oh
game. We may have seen all of the names of all the games that they had just hung in giant posters on the top of their booth.
my goodness.
So we saw all the games that they were going to announce and you know of course I immediately ran to like the Slack channel and was like, hey guys, heads up, this is going to be the name, do not tweet this out. Because if you do, we will never be snuck backstage again. So do not tweet. And no one tweeted. So I guess yeah, no one tweeted.
So the key takeaway from this is that this is the type of situation that feels more fun rather than scary in the
It's
sense
much
that
more fun.
much
Yeah,
more
like
fun.
knowing something like it, it spoils the fun to tell everybody,
Yeah.
and it hurts people who trust you.
Hmm.
So, which is way less fun. Like the feeling you get from sharing that information early is just only bad feeling.
Yeah.
So
Extreme feeling.
it's definitely like I have to rank this on the top 10 easiest things I've ever done is keeping
Oh,
confidential information a secret.
None of the Nintendo ninjas caught you that day, I guess.
No,
lucky
did not.
you.
We were standing pretty far away from the booth. Like they would have had to have had an incredibly wide and intrusive security perimeter in order to have caught us. Because they really were not letting anyone near. Like we tried to actually get near and even just walk around the perimeter, and they did have security set up so that we couldn't.
Mhm.
They told us to go away. So there's my fun E3 story. If my connection is listening, who remembers that, we definitely didn't do any of those things. We didn't see inside the Nintendo booth.
Yeah.
All fake.
All fake. All fake. Nothing happens. We never
Nothing.
talked about this.
We were contractors. We were help. Funny enough, we were also we I don't know if I can say this. I can probably say this, but the booth they were working on was Tecmo Koei.
Oh, so Hyrule Warriors?
So
Or
no, this was way before. This was like a year or two before they got the Hyrule Warriors contract. So
oh
funny. They
yes.
actually invited me and Cody out for drinks. Like they were really nice people, and we're just like, they're Tecmo Koei. They're like showing off some like do they make Ninja Gaiden? They were showing off like some
Yes.
like Ninja Gaiden thing that literally nobody cared about, and so we kind of snubbed them.
Kind of snubbed them, and
Kind of snubbed them.
oh,
So we were
oh
like,
my
no, we
goodness.
don't want to go out for drinks. We're good.
Yeah, just imagine that happened a few years later.
Yeah, now it's like, of course we'd go out for drinks with the Hyrule Warriors team. Sure. We didn't know they were going to be the Hyrule Warriors team. They were the Ninja Gaiden team.
What were the odds? Just what were the odds?
I actually like can't believe that. Like it was a really not a matchup that I was expecting at all.
Yeah, I don't think anyone really expected it to happen. Especially with the, I guess, wonky reputation that they had already from a certain Metroid game on the Wii. That's a really like big coincidence there. Like, just imagine what it would have been like if you had gone out for the drinks and then you found out that they were working on Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah, no, that would have been crazy. We might have actually known people on the team. Make me don't make me feel regret for my decisions.
Wasted opportunity. Now we kind of did bounce ahead of this interview here, but I kind of want to run back towards the beginning and ask you what kind of got you to create Zelda Wiki.
Yeah, Zelda Wiki. So I guess for those who don't know at all, is that I founded Zelda Wiki in 2005. And that was about, a year after I joined Zelda Universe. And I had been running Zelda Universe at that point for, I think, a few months at least. And one of the, like, long talked about projects at Zelda Universe was doing a Zelda encyclopedia. But that's not why it was originally made. That was kind of like the excuse that
The
the background excuse, like, yeah, we've been thinking about this Zelda encyclopedia. But in reality, me and Zelda Universe like forum slash IRC chat member Yami, his real name is John Partridge. We're literally just like bored on IRC one day, and we're like, hey, yeah, like we know how to just install like a wiki thing, and like let's just have like a fun community wiki. We just were like, let's just make one because it's so easy to install. And this was like, yeah, like 2005 was MediaWiki was like getting popular, so we were like, let's do this. And for a while, it was just the community wiki. And then, of course, it just kind of immediately we were like, yeah, we could like try using this for like Zelda encyclopedia stuff. And we did, and like every day, I was on the Zelda Universe forums promoting everyone, just like adding tons of articles and just really kind of building it up by hand, getting people to be involved. And a lot of the articles, like the initial articles, I just wrote myself. Yeah, so I think that's where like the bulk of like my 10,000 plus edits come from or whatever. It's just like literally making the original text of the wiki and like all the articles. Yeah, it was a lot of like brute force, just getting people to realize that this is a thing and it's here. But the initial creation was so like benign, and we didn't even think twice about it because we were just like having fun, testing out, spinning up a wiki, and like wikis are fun. Let everyone go at it, and that was literally the entirety of the thought that went into the first version of it. And it wasn't until like, yeah, it was just like, let's just spin up a test wiki for fun. And then it stuck around because people really did like using it. And I think that's like the perfect, like most organic way for something like that to happen. Is like people wanted to try it out. We thought it did exactly what we wanted it to, and people kept using it. But it still took like a ton of manual effort to get people involved and to let everyone know that it's there. And a lot of effort just writing stuff. But it was really, I mean, clearly it was worth it because now Zelda Wiki is an invaluable online resource that, millions of people have used and rely on to know about the Zelda series.
I can definitely confirm with my totally unbiased opinion there.
What was the moment that you thought like, okay, we made it, we did it. The Zelda Wiki is like, it's a thing. We finished.
Sure. For sure, the moment that we were like cited as a resource in like a book, I believe it was. Like it might have been The Legend of Zelda and
Nintendo,
Philosophy or something. I don't remember exactly what, or it might have just been in a
Nintendo
magazine.
Power.
I'm pretty sure this is like listed on like the wiki, on the wiki's article about itself.
Hmm.
But like that to me was when we made it, was when I have to like pull it up now. I'm just gonna pull it up real quick.
Was it Nintendo Power?
It might have been
I
slash.
do recall some talk about that. Talking about us specifically.
How do I do about? Is it just what's
I think it's community colon Zelda Wiki.
is it community colon? Yeah, it is. I just want to find out the exact thing. I think it's under achievement. Official Nintendo Magazine UK.
Hmm.
Oh, now
That
that
was
is
like
substantial.
so that was like they put us in a little info box, like under further reading in the corner, they cited Zelda Universe and Zelda Wiki. And
Mhm.
that was just like the first time that it even hit me that there are people in like real publications in the real world
Yeah,
who look at Zelda Universe and Zelda Wiki and actually like take the content that we make seriously. That was a huge moment for me actually.
yeah. Being able to like being seen by the whole general public like that is just a huge step up. That
Yeah.
must have been like a crazy, crazy moment.
Oh, it doesn't say what year, but
Uh, oh yeah,
maybe at
issue
least at least
53.
2010, or possibly earlier than 2010 though. But wow, yeah, that was a big moment, and that was like, yeah, I've been running it for a long time at that point. But I think like Zelda Wiki really became Zelda Wiki in 2008. So like 3 years. It spent about like 3 years being the Zelda Universe Wiki.
Hmm.
Actually, maybe before 2008. I don't remember when I changed the name to Zelda Wiki. Was 2008 when the mastermind system ended? This is now getting extremely technical and into wiki operations history.
The name was changed in 2006, I believe.
Okay, so then 2008 is when I guess I must have stopped the mastermind stuff. There was a whole period where Zelda Wiki was actually like the wiki for several Zelda fan sites. Yeah, and there was a whole system where I needed extra people to help participate in it. Um, And the best way to do that was to basically give people like pseudo ownership over the wiki. Be like, treat this like your community's wiki. We'll have a framework. We had like a framework for that. That's where all like the community stuff comes from initially. Is all of the sites like kind of setting up their community stuff. Um, yeah, there's a lot of like evidence of the previous mastermind system where we used to be run by. I mean, Zelda Dungeon Wiki was when it really ended, was because Zelda Dungeon used to be a part owner of Zelda Wiki, and then they just decided one day that they weren't going to be and make their own competing one. So that's how that started. I feel like Zelda Universe and Zelda Wiki are like some like they've generated like some insane spin-offs. Like Zelda Universe generated Zelda Informer, which was a spin-off for a while. Like that was crazy. And then Zelda Wiki generated the Zelda Dungeon Wiki.
Yeah, there's a lot of history that goes into this. I remember someone at the wiki created this whole timeline image as if it was like the Zelda timeline.
It really is crazy how much history it has. You know, the fact that for a while it was actually successfully being run by like 8 to 12 different fan sites who all had a
Mhm.
say in its operation, and we had a whole like organization and group of these Zelda sites, and our organization, our secret society, was called the Stone Watchers, which is where Joshua gets like his whole Stone Watcher, Joshua Lindquist, who I've been like talking about multiple times this interview session,
Mhm.
is gets his Stone Watcher name from our group, the Stone Watchers, the secret mafia group of all the Zelda fan site owners that also happened to run Zelda Wiki for a while until drama happened.
drama, italicized text, drama. And now we're sitting with like 4 wikis competing against each other.
Yeah, now there's like 4 wiki.
I'm guessing like we're starting to see a bit of a decrease in the Zelda fan sites as we continue to go along, because everyone's starting to flock over to Discord or other social media platforms, and it's
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
just becoming more streamlined now. What keeps you motivated to have Zelda Universe still operate today?
I think well, a lot of it was also because we kind of absorbed a lot of those fan sites.
To put it nicely.
Yeah, like they merged with us just because, I mean, Cody had a whole project where he kind of focused on literally merging and acquiring like the Zelda fan community, and he really did pull it off. Because a lot of them were like good at doing things that Zelda Universe wasn't. Like we got like Elias Thompson, our head of media, was not. I'm like trying to remember the name of his Zelda Eternity. Why would I not remember that? So yeah, Elias Thompson was the webmaster of Zelda Eternity, but now he runs our Twitch operations, which is he gets to do basically all the stuff that he did for his own stuff for his own fan site, but now like just at Zelda Universe at a bigger scale. So I think that's usually like the fun pitch when you like get to combine stuff is you get to do what you're doing but like much bigger. And I think that's like where the Zelda community has wanted to go, is just like having a bigger presence, because when everyone's like all fragmented everywhere, it's not as fun because the community is already such a finite size. So it's just more fun for everyone when the community is all in one big room. Even if it's really like 2 to 4 big rooms, but that's still like there were like literally 20 fan sites. It was a lot.
Everything's a little. It's much more comfortable when you have everything a little more tightly knit and
Yeah.
interconnected at that point.
But I think it's been working so well because like the framework of how Zelda Universe works gives people a lot of freedom to do all the stuff that they were doing. Like there's no like gatekeeping, there's no being stingy about what people can work on or what change they can, impact. It's very much literally just a big fan run project. So if someone like wants to do something at Zelda Universe 99% of the time, they can do it, even if it changes big parts of the site. Like as long as they can actually complete it, like that's all that's really required. Um, so yeah, it's I think like from a wiki standpoint, I also think it's better to have less wikis. So it does kind of suck that there are more wikis popping up and that there's a lot of splits happening, but that'll sort itself out over time, I'm sure. That was one of the reasons behind the mastermind system, was because like just seeing how successful Zelda Wiki was when it was first made, like the Zelda Universe Wiki. It was pretty obvious that literally every other Zelda fan site was just gonna like get the idea and be like, we're gonna all start our own wiki, which would just literally kill all the wikis simultaneously because no one would know which one is worth putting their effort into.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
So, like, if that were to happen, then it would just be like an instant death sentence for the Zelda Universe wiki. So it's like, hey, guys, rather than having like 15 dead wikis, let's have one alive wiki that we all share.
Yeah. And as the communities of the one keeps growing and growing, community engagement is usually really nice to have. Because collaboration between people are really nice, even if it's not in a wiki standpoint. But I believe you had Zelda Universe has had multiple events with the community. What are some of them, and like what's the biggest one?
Yeah, at least in my head, the biggest ones are, I guess, like the two most major ones are the panels that we do at PAX, which I really want to participate in one of those one day. We started doing them, I believe, with 30th anniversary. Um,
Oh,
Maybe even earlier, actually. Maybe it was like how long have we been doing PAX panels? A long time, and they always completely pack the room and they go like out into the hallway. So it's really great to see like people coming to our panels. Um, and at least I love watching them. I haven't actually been to a PAX. This is like one of my big things is that I really want to go and I really want to be a part of one of these panels because they look like so much fun. Um, and if you're at a PAX and we're doing a panel, you should go see it. Uh, the other thing that we do are frequent charity marathons on Twitch. And those are always great. I think the last time we might have, I don't know if we raised over $10,000 or like near maybe over $8,000. We raised quite a bit of money for Child's Play. And that's something we've been doing now for quite a number of years now. And they're always really fun, just like playing Zelda for like 24 to 72 hours at a time. I think one time we like did even longer.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, those charity marathons are great. I have participated in those. Like when we had one for the Breath of the Wild launch, and that was actually held at my old apartment. That
Oh,
was really fun. And yeah, that was like me just beating Breath of the Wild for the first time with everyone else, and I got to beat Ganon. That was really fun for me to just be the person who got to beat Ganon. So it's my claim to fame. Breath of the Wild was so long that we just like took shifts. Like you have to take shifts during those marathons. You get
yeah. Otherwise, otherwise you drop dead.
sleep on the floor that you can, and then you go back to it. You have like your designated time slot. It's cool how scheduled it is. Like I gotta say, like the media team does an amazing job. They really run a tight ship over there, which is like it's crazy that it's not it like everyone's volunteer. It's not a truly professional type of thing, but everyone treats it
Hmm.
like it's professional and really puts the full effort into it. And like the events are really, really well organized.
Yeah, that's really it's amazing to hear how like all of this, and it also goes, it also goes to a good cause as well. How you managed to like go on this long with like a group of people in such an organized manner without like any sort of major, I guess, disruptions or breakups in that sense. No
Yeah.
like chaos going around. It's just an actual well
I think
organized
like
and structured plan.
it definitely, early on, like I'm talking when I first started running it and it
Hmm.
was small, there definitely was like that kind of less professional attitude and there was plenty of drama and it was like plenty of, normally what I think you'd expect from a fan site. And then
Yeah.
I guess like as a lot of us got older, I feel like a lot of us kind of grew up together and like
Hmm.
got older together and like got real jobs together. And now it's just like us realizing that yeah, it would be better if we did it like normal professional people because
Yeah.
it just keeps stuff so much more organized. But the nice thing is like there's like lots of new generations of volunteers who are still younger and we get to show them how this kind of stuff works in the real world now, quote unquote, but not really because in the Zelda universe, it's still not in Zelda universe, it's still not really the real world because we're all just having fun. But we
Hmm.
get to like kind of keep it organized in that way, and that's definitely like I think the biggest change and the biggest improvement that's happened to Zelda universe as an organization since I joined is that it kind of grew into this structure in large part thanks to Cody Davies, I think did a lot of this. Separating it into teams, designating leaders. You know, having like a method to hiring people or bringing on volunteers. I should say, not hiring people technically, but bring a pipeline for having volunteers. And a way to like get people able to contribute to stuff in like a sporadic basis where you can like do some work, disappear for a year or two, come back and you'll still be like welcomed back to volunteer and do more stuff later.
Kudos to Cody.
Yeah, Cody is amazing. Million props to Cody. I think that's also how you make a community where people enjoy, like if people enjoy what they're working on, then the community is going to enjoy the work. Is how I feel.
Yeah, it pays off eventually. It pays off.
That's how stuff like Alex Trevino's Zelda dubs happen. Where if Trevino wants to make the dubs and he actually successfully finishes them,
Mhm.
then we'll give him a little bit of a budget to like get some stuff, or we'll help him get connected to like now he's pretty familiar with the voice acting cast from Breath of the Wild, which is
Yeah.
which is so funny. Like I gave that to him as a challenge at E3. I'm like, you want like just get Patricia Somerset. And then he just went and fucking did it. Like that was amazing. So like that this is how it happens. Like that's how
It comes out of passion.
it's so cool. Yeah, it really comes out of passion and wanting to do good stuff, and that gets people freaking hyped. Gets me hyped.
So that kind of connects to this question: is what do you inspire most from Zelda Universe?
Yeah, I think that is really it, is to, you know, I mean, of course it's just to share the love of the Zelda series, but also to show people that, a fan site doesn't just have to make like stuff that seems like fan stuff. It can make real stuff. And it can still be people who are just as passionate and like just fans. But it can also be really freaking good. Um, I think that is what I want from Zelda Universe. And that's kind of what I've always wanted from it.
Mhm.
And it's gotten there, and I think it's gonna keep putting out amazing stuff because that's kind of what it's known for. Um, and that like just that inspires me honestly to continue being at Zelda Universe, making more stuff like Zelda maps, which I'm working on updates for, or just like just always launching new stuff, or like the columns team that writes amazing like long form articles about Zelda, or the guides team writing like everything is so high quality. Uh, that to me is what Zelda Universe is about. Is like showing that fan work can be incredibly high quality, but also made with all the passion that you expect a fan work to have.
That's technically well, that's pretty much the reason why I'm still at the wiki. um, and I guess kind of looking towards yourself, uh, I do know for a fact that you took a bit of a hiatus from like the wiki itself and just focused more on the rest of the Zelda universe community.
Mhm.
Um, and in light of moving back to that independent hosting, away from fandom.com and all that sort of drama. Uh, what kind of motivated you to come back? Now, technically, I already know part of the answer to this, but what would you say is your motivations behind making this big return to Zelda Wiki?
I think there's a whole bunch of reasons. I mean, the first reason is that I never really wanted to stop working on the wiki in the first place, and it was really more disagreements with Gamepedia that kind of ended up making me take a more lengthy hiatus. And
Hmm.
this was like issues I think with them not completely adhering to some of the verbal agreements that we had had when we were originally dealing with that transfer. Um, for instance, I really wanted to like make sure that we were able to report everything that was happening to NIWA, the Nintendo Independent Wiki Association or Alliance. Sorry, Alliance. Um, but we just didn't. They didn't give us enough time, and then they switched the domain without our consent. And then I'm like, well, all the goodwill that we had is really hurt now. So yeah, I took a pretty lengthy hiatus. But of course, the wiki becoming independent, it was a huge, I think it's something that I always felt, one day would be able to happen and probably would, but actually seeing it happen was very surreal and amazing. Because I think I definitely have a number of personal regrets about the sale in general. So this to me is kind of like a little redemption chance, is that I can, give back, kind of make up for that in a small way. I can at least be active, be contributing to the version of the wiki that can best fit its original spirit. And that really was enough motivation for me to just be like, and I think a lot of, at least folks from Zelda Universe who have come back recently or just come back to be active and just chat, feel the same way, that it's like so critically important that we give back to this new era of the wiki where it can be independent again, and that we do everything possible to support that. I think that's been like just how I feel. Like I ran straight to every executive at Zeldaverse. I'm like, we are going balls to the wall for the wiki. Like whatever they need, we're getting it. I don't care what it does to our budget. Like it really was just like I think this unanimous feeling that me and the other people who run Zelda Universe were just like, this is the version of the wiki that we want to support. And I'm just so happy that it happened at all. Because
Mhm.
like I said, I always imagined that it could. I wasn't sure if it would, but I'm so happy that it did.
Huge welcome home moment.
It's really refreshing to see, and to see that it made news. Like that was
Yeah,
an even crazier thing, was that like Kotaku reported on it, and that it, just seeing that happen in real time, that people really care about this resource,
Mhm.
also really remotivated me, and was like, this was something that when we were initially building it and it was independent, I mean, it's been a big deal, but now it's a big deal in a way that, you know, we
Bigger
can
than
get
before.
we can get back to standing for all of the ideals that we had before. And I think, like, there's definitely plenty of arguments that to be made about being independently edited and controlled versus hosted.
Mhm.
I think that was a lot of the thought process we fell into when we originally transferred it to Gamepedia. But
Mhm.
then being originally proven wrong by Gamepedia changing the domain without our consent. So I think I think a lot of the things that we thought could be true ultimately were not, like, did make us less independent, and there wasn't very much we could do about it until now.
Yeah, I'm very happy to hear that we've managed to get back out of that situation and kind of be able to express our passion freely in that extent.
I think I mean, I believe it's already inspired a number of other wikis to fork off of fandom. And I mean, it was even more necessary, I feel, because of Zelda Wiki's specific affiliation or history with fandom, of specifically refusing to go to fandom.
Mhm.
Like, way in its early days, Angela Beasley like sent an email and like wanted to not like acquire or purchase, but like just wanted Zelda Wiki to move wholesale to Wikia for just for fun. Like, just why not? Um, and we like laughed her, we like, laughed in her face. I'm like, no, no, well, no. It was actually very polite. We sent a polite, like, no, thank you. But I mean, I was laughing on the other side of my email client. Like, that was a heckin' funny thing to ask for. Like, yeah, just move.
Just
Move the whole
move.
thing. Why not? We give you traffic. Oh, you mean you give you traffic? Like, just hilarious. But because of that history, I think I did like start paying much more attention to the wiki again when it first got moved to fandom, because I'm like, oh, the clock is ticking now, because fandom is like toxic opposite magnetic charge to Zelda wiki. Like, it was going to be forcefully yeeted out one way or the other. Like, the two are just not compatible to survive together. Like, on principle, essentially. Uh, So I feel like it was even more important that like Zelda Wiki became independent, because fandom is just fandom
It
is
was
literally the stuff that we would refer to when we were like, this is what we don't want from a host.
like literally like the antithesis of the
Yeah,
wiki at that
the,
point.
the specific example. So I felt personally like huge guilt when Gamepedia sold to fandom, because I'm just like, oh no, my actions have led to this wiki being a part of like the sole enemy of the whole reason we started Niwa. So I think that was another big thing, is, you know, which also eventually led to a lot of the what led to the fork is that Niwa was like, hey, you guys can only be on fandom for this long before we start throwing up red flags. Yeah. So I think that was a big trigger in making the fork happen, was that people at Niwa were finally like, hey, is Zelda Wiki really independent? And the answer is, thankfully, yeah, it is. And it is its own independent community that can make its own decisions and decide what host it wants to be on. And not even fandom can stop them. And I think that's like a huge thing to overcome, because most people who run wikis on fandom don't think that they could have a successful fork if they fork. Like, they think that they really are reliant on fandom. But fandom is, at the end of the day, just a host.
Yeah. So to our listeners and viewers out there, TLDR, basically, Zelda Wiki's moved away from a hosting company because of a lot of creative differences, and I hope that looking towards the future, we will never run into this sort of issue again, and have a lot of our creative control over it gone in that sense. And I guess that would lead us towards the final question that we have for you today.
Hit me.
So this is the question that we ask just at the end of every interview. It's a fun one. What virtue of the Triforce do you have? Power, courage, or wisdom?
Ooh, this is a tough question. I'm going to say courage. I feel like you just need to have a strong stomach to run an internet community. You need to have steel nerves. And they're definitely, I think it's way less than it ever has been, actually. But, Zelda Universe has been kind of home to its fair share of like crazy internet trolls and like 4chan toxic waste. And, I think like pre 2009 even was regularly hacked.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So which led to me being the target of a bunch of online harassment, as well as members of the Zelda Universe forums. And I feel like that experience has just been burned into my brain and made me like impervious to that kind of stuff online. And so I'm going to go with courage, because I feel like that's really what it means to just be online and exist and be yourself.
I know, this is like those types of questions where you kind of are put on the spot, and then you suddenly just don't have the answer to it, and it kind of just have to take courage to let your brain kind of flow through that.
Well,
yeah.
Thank you so much for having me on. I really enjoyed answering these questions.
For sure. Hopefully it gives some insight onto some of Zelda Wiki's users on any questions they have about maybe starting their own for a niche game.
Yes. Start your own and join Niwa if it's Nintendo related.
There are other groups out there.
There are other groups. There's I think a Square Enix one.
So if people ever wanted to find you, Jess, anywhere on social media, or maybe just contact you through anything else, where would they find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter. Is a great place to find me. I'm at Golden Chaos. And if you want to email me, my email is jess@zeldauniverse.net. And I always read my email, so say hi.
And if anybody missed that in the audio prompt, we'll have it all in the show notes.
Thank you very much for the support you guys have given us in this celebration. And thank you especially to Jess and all the other guests who have decided to come on board on this special occasion.
We'd love it if you could follow us on Twitter and listen to future episodes on Spotify and iTunes. Join our community Discord server to continue today's discussion. And we'll see you next time on the Switch Clicks podcast.